When too many people think the market will collapse, usually the opposite happens. The other measure I look at is what's called a put to call ratio. So this is again ticker symbol $CPC, and this is total puts divided by calls. Okay, so puts on top, calls on the bottom. So this is the opposite sort of thinking. When there are too many calls, so calls are for people who think the stock market is going up. We call, we go up. Puts are for people who think the stock market is going down. We put down. Okay. So if we have a high put to call ratio, for example, like we had where I'm hovering in April of 2025, we had a just gigantic number of puts. In other words, people, I'm going to show it to you on the chart. There it is. That's, I'm sorry, yes, in April of 2025, right there. That's April of 2025 when we had that freak out with the tariffs, that just when Mr. Trump got into office. This is the tariff freak out. Yes, indeed, we collapsed here, okay? But notice how many puts we had. We had just an insane amount of puts. In other words, people thought that the market is just gonna collapse and go to zero. And the opposite happens. So when there are too many puts, usually a rally happens. And I actually marked the same thing with the blue line here. You can see it kind of, for example, one right there in August 2024. Yeah, there was a nice dip here, and then we got a nice rally. And then another one right there where I'm hovering in November 2024. A small dip and a nice big rally afterwards. This was not a very strong signal. This was a very strong signal. Okay, where are we currently? So actually we had two more kind of mild signals here, one in November 2025 and another one in like December 2025, when we sort of got to this mildly overextended areas into the put area. And yeah, we got kind of like rallies. So we kind of, you can see there's a dip and then a rally. And yes, indeed, people thought that the market will collapse because they bought puts. All right, and then the opposite happens. So this is the opposite indicator. When people think that, when too many people think that the market will collapse, usually the opposite happens. All right, we can also do the same for calls.